Welcome to another week of Pixel Peek. Thank you for joining us.
We don't know where everyone is watching, but it started getting pretty chilly up here in Boone. We even had our first snow day today.
But wherever you are, please stay safe and warm as you enjoy this week's episode. Maybe even pick up a game and relax.
Unfortunately, minors in China won't be able to do that with a new gaming curfew law, and they'll even have online video game spending limits.
Speaking of law in the gaming industry, a few lawsuits based in labor laws between TFU and FaZe Clan have been underway, and they're even moving a couple of them to New York. This could mean some changes to how online gaming careers are legally handled, so you best know that we'll be covering it.
We'll also report on FIFA 20 professionals being suspended for matchmaking exploitation. This further proves that the realm of esports isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and that some people will do anything to win.
This week's game review isn't all sunshine and rainbows either, and this time we mean literally. Our game reviewer Bianca Bortoluzzi will be reviewing Return of the Obra Dinn, a black and white indie title.
And to wrap up this week's episode, we're highlighting Appalachian State University's Video Game Ensemble, a music club that our Xbox analyst Bobby Paget is a part of. It's not a typical analysis segment, but we know you'll enjoy it regardless.
Well, we've got an exciting episode ahead of us, so let's get the ball rolling. I'm Laird Davis.
And I'm Kristen Lawrence, and we hope you enjoy your stay here on Pixel Peek.
The Chinese government has announced new rules to crack down on gaming addiction by giving minors a gaming curfew for online gaming, specifically outlawing playing between 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. Along with this, gamers 18 years and older are restricted to only playing online games for 90 minutes each week, but could get an additional 3 hours for weekends and public holidays. Spending limits have also been imposed, $57 a month for gamers between ages 16 and 18, and $29 a month for younger players. There are 6 other measures that have also been made besides the curfew, time, and spending limit. The most strict measure is real name registration. Players are required to provide valid identity information if they want to play. This is done because game companies will now need to supervise their players, and if they don't go along with the new gaming restrictions, then they'll get their licenses revoked. The government will also be using this to create a new age rating system for games while training parents and teachers to work with kids on their online gaming habits. Now, this isn't the first time China has clamped down on people's personal gaming habits. In the past year, Tencent's Honor of Kings has been attacked and pressured by state-run media to restrict playtime for minors and introduce a real name registration program. The incident didn't stop it, though, from being the highest-grossing game of 2018.
Last week, Fortnite streamer Jarvis was hit with a lifetime ban for using an aimbot on stream. After an emotional apology video posted the day after, many big names are weighing in on banning players who make their life off of streaming. Ninja has gotten in on the discussion as well and offered his support to the young streamer. However, since then, Ninja has changed his tune, saying that Jarvis deserves to be banned, but that Epic should reconsider banning a young streamer over a single mistake. While some may agree that Ninja has a point, Epic Games' actions make sense. Jarvis is a popular young streamer with over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. Streamers with this kind of audience set the standard for behavior in-game to their audience. By cheating live on stream, it raises the public tolerance of cheating and could seriously hurt the game's health in the long run. As for the fate of Jarvis's Fortnite career, we will have to wait and see.
SNK icon Terry Bogard has made his arrival to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and is happily power dunking players everywhere. But in his wake come memes surrounding another character's absence. Every time a new fighter is released, series director Masahiro Sakurai hosts an hour-long stream to showcase the new fighter and other features being added to the game. In Terry's new stage, many iconic SNK characters are seen watching the fight, but one notable character is missing, Mai Shiranui. During the stream, Sakurai turned to the camera and explained that Mai would not be appearing because, quote, Smash Bros. Ultimate is for good boys and girls of many different ages. In response, many fans of the character have requested for her to be added, but because Sakurai called her out specifically, chances of her appearing are unlikely. Sakurai's decision would, however, have made more sense to English speakers if the translation from Japanese had been literal. What Sakurai actually said was that Mai was left out to preserve the game's Sero A rating. In other words, Mai was left out to keep the game rating from becoming T for teen. And to think that people thought Ridley was too big for Smash.
On November 6th, Just Dance 2020 was launched, and it was stated that it will be the last Wii game from Ubisoft. In a statement to GameIndustry.biz, Ubisoft stated the following: "We would like to clarify that Just Dance 2020 will be the last Ubisoft title to release on Wii. We can't speak on behalf of other publishers or for Nintendo. It is uncertain if Just Dance 2020 will be the final Wii game, and Nintendo has declined to make a comment on whether or not this is true, though this is the first new Wii game in a few years. The releases of new games for the Wii have decreased since 2015, originally to make room for the Wii U. Unfortunately, Wii U production stopped in 2016, but the Just Dance franchise has been going strong on the Wii up until now. Just Dance was first released on Wii back in 2009 and has been the most dedicated game to the Wii since its decline. Until this year, Just Dance released a yearly title to the Wii, among other more modern consoles. With Just Dance leaving the Wii, it's an end of an era for the Wii, but at least we can go out dancing."
The end of a classic. Now, Turner Tenney, better known as Tfue, will have to fight FaZe Clan's countersuit in a New York court. In court documents filed on Friday, Judge Jed S. Rakoff denied Tenney's motion to dismiss the case. Tfue and FaZe will continue all three cases, 2 in California and the 3rd in New York State. Now, in May, FaZe Clan was sued by Tenney over a contract that Tenney alleged broke the law and followed by filing a complaint with California's Labor Commissioner's office. Tenney argued that since FaZe Clan is not licensed through the commissioner as an agent, that it does not have a say in his employment opportunities. There are California laws that provide protection to artists. However, esports players and live streamers are not defined as such yet. Should Tfue win, the case could have implications for laws applying to internet celebrities and what courts define as artists, providing additional protection to live streamers in the future. FaZe Clan countersued Tenney in the Southern New York court. Tenney's contract contains a mandatory and exclusive forum selection clause, which designates the court and location the parties would have their dispute decided in. Tenney was trying to stop the suit from occurring by requesting to dismiss it. Now, the judge ordered both parties to appear in a New York court next spring, and the trial date should be set by March 4th of 2020. Both cases will still be going forward in California and New York.
This past Friday, Christopher Hawley, also known as NYC Chris, was suspended from FIFA's esports competition for encouraging collusion. As a result, he will miss the rest of the qualifying matches for the FIFA Ultimate Team Champions Cup. The suspension comes after an investigation and a Eurogamer article that covered FIFA 20 players working together in order to advance in the Cup, which is prohibited. FIFA 20 has a global ranking system that groups players of similar skill levels into different tiers, and each weekend during the season, EA Sports runs the Ultimate Team League. Eurogamer's investigation alleges that those participating in the Ultimate Team League were able to avoid players of a similar skill set and compete against weaker players in order to receive rewards through a Discord channel. The channel was discovered in late October by Nick Bartels, a top FIFA player, and he revealed that those with access to the channel used it to avoid playing certain players and instead choose who they would play against. Bartel also added that players were stream sniping, watching streams to see when certain competitors were active, and matchmaking in those times in hopes of drawing them out. EA Sports acknowledged the collusion and suspended Holly for 2 rounds. EA commented that Kris was suspended in response to encouraging experienced players to avoid matchmaking at the same time as the player to gain a competitive advantage. Holly would later take to Twitter to apologize, saying, "I've made a mistake that I will learn from, and I'll do my best to earn your trust back." That's all for this week's news, so let's see what Bianca Bortoluzzi has in store for us in this week's game review.
The Return of the Obra Dinn is an odd, marvelous, and mysterious game. Join me as we board the Obra Dinn and attempt to figure out the puzzle of who the passengers were, what happened to them, and where they are now. The Return of the Obra Dinn is unlike any game I've ever played before. It was like stepping into a sketch, one that someone was still in the middle of working on. It was developed and produced by Lucas Pope and 3909 LLC, a Japanese-based studio. My best friend JC recommended this game to me, saying I'd seriously enjoy it, and I seriously did. The basis of the game is that the Obra Dinn, a large ship, has reappeared after 4 years of being lost at sea, and the whereabouts of the crew members is completely unknown. You play as an insurance investigator for the East India Company's London office in the year 1807. All you have is a book detailing the crew's names, the ship blueprints, where the journey had taken place, and a sketch of all the crew members. It's truly a detective game at the end of the day, but it has hints of adventure, puzzle, and supernatural elements. The game was a bit frustrating at first. I wasn't sure what to do, and I think I was expecting more of an action-adventure game at first. The entire game takes place on the Obra Dinn, and that's it. Just the ship. There are multiple levels, however, and you have to go a very specific route in order to get to the next level of the ship. Along with that book mentioned earlier, you're also given a pocket watch that allows you to go back to the time of a person's death. I love the frozen in time scenes in which you have to figure out who's there during the time of death and try to decipher who died, how they died, and who or what killed them. Each scene was so detailed and beautifully executed, from watching someone get tangled up in the Kraken's tentacles to watching a cannon blast make its way to one person. Each death was so different and interesting, as weird as that sounds. The game isn't that graphic, however. Being all black and white, there are some gnarly deaths, but nothing that's too shocking or horrible to look at. You're also given a small audio clip in the beginning, allowing you to decipher some voices and situations going on to further your investigation on the Obra Dinn when going back in time. Each crew member is interesting, having their own background, voice, and style. You can't tell who they are at first, their picture is grainy until you begin seeing them in more and more flashbacks. You have to really hunt for clues and remember important small details to get who everyone is. Tons of crew members make reappearances, and it's up to you to remember all of it. I even had a little notebook in which I wrote down names and sketched faces just so I wouldn't forget who is who and where they were at certain times. Altogether, there are 60 crew members and 3 different kinds of endings. And yes, you do have to figure out each and every crew member's names, what happened to them, and where they are now if they're still alive. It's difficult to guess everyone, and honestly, that's what I really loved about this game. You have to use clues, like more than just their scenes or their voices. You have to know what they were wearing, where they sleep, their accents, who they're friends with, and so on. It's probably one of the hardest games I've ever played, and it's really refreshing to have a challenge like this. The voice acting was phenomenal, and probably one of my favorite parts about the game, and if the voice acting was subpar, it'd be impossible to play. Some stories were really real and genuine as well. The pain you could hear in the voice actors' voices were just jaw-dropping. The only thing that was a bit confusing was trying to figure out what death they faced, because there is in fact a difference between falling overboard and drowning, or getting speared or spiked. I mean, there are so many different ways to pass away in this game. It's ridiculous, but also so interesting. I feel like I've been using that word a lot, but that's the word I'd encompass this game with, is interesting. There are also only 2 colors used the entire game, black and white. It can be a bit hard on the eyes at times and can be difficult to spot things, but for me, personally, that just added to the challenge. I really do love a good challenging game. In the book that you're given, there are 10 chapters, but you don't go in order. You start with the end and slowly skip around until you get the whole story. For a solid 3 hours, I only had like 5 crew members figured out until I was able to unlock about 80% of the book and the game itself and began piecing together things more and more. Some of the crew members, you just had to guess and pray that you got it right, going off of only a few clues. However, there are crew members from all over the world, so differentiating them by accents made it easier. I'd also like to give the concept of this game some attention. It's just so cool. From the design elements to the simple gameplay, they really take a game that could be the most boring thing in the world and made it into a game that keeps you glued to your television screen for hours. Seriously, I forgot to stop recording at times to keep a good workflow because I was so immersed in this game. I haven't played a game yet this semester where that's happened. Maybe I'm just a freak for puzzle games like we saw with the Sojourn. However, as a whole, Return of the Obra Dinn is truly a one-of-a-kind game, and I'm beyond glad JC recommended it to me. It's incredibly hard to keep a game interesting in only one setting, especially when that setting is just a ship, all in black and white. But the Obra Dinn achieved that. I knew halfway through this game that I'd rate it a top-of-the-mountain game. So if you want a tough, mystery-filled game, Return of the Obra Dinn is the game for you.
The Return of the Obra Dinn was a wild ride from start to finish. It was confusing but fun, and I love the artistic style of the game as well. It's definitely not an easy game, and it offers up a unique challenge, and that's why I rated it a top-of-the-mountain game. That's right, 3 top-of-the-mountain games in a row. Crazy! And now for a very special look at App State's Video Game Ensemble.
I am the director, which means I both conduct with my fancy scores, I conduct the ensemble, and I also lead the executive board. The executive board is 10 people who have taken it upon themselves to go above and beyond the call of duty, and they perform various tasks that help the ensemble keep going since it is student-led.
For the video game ensemble, I am the librarian, meaning I manage sheet music and print it.
Basically, a publicist's job is to publicize everything, publicize the ensemble, get our presence across on social media, make posters and hang them up, that kind of stuff. And of course I like to draw art on the board as well.
As parliamentarian, basically my job is to handle more or less any legal issues we might run into. It is my job to kind of research any legalities that have to do with the running of our ensemble, the performing of our music and things of that nature, as well as making sure that our bylaws are up to date, consistent, and concise, really.
We are a completely student-run concert band, usually about 40 to 50 people.
A good old high school band style concert band that just plays video game music.
We've done stuff like Halo, Undertale, Fire Emblem, you name it, and we've probably done some kind of iteration of it.
I never thought it would exist, and the fact that it does is kind of crazy.
Not a lot of ensembles really do something like this.
It's one thing to listen to music and to play the games and be immersed in it, but then when you're a part of the creation of that sound, that feeling, it's awesome.
It's like a dream come true to me.
I used to be a trumpet performance major, so it's great to be able to, after having switched majors, get to still play.
More people need to know about this ensemble. There's so many music nerds that are also video game nerds that just don't realize it exists.
Video game music, for a lot of us, is very important. For me, it is also very particularly important. It was one of those things that when the original director had come into school here and said, hey, I want to start this ensemble, a lot of us kind of like jumped in, and it's important to me in that aspect. Like, this is an opportunity to play music that I love very much, that I'm not really given in other performance venues or performing opportunities.
I can become part of the video game music that I love to just listen to.
VGE, that's our sole purpose, and that's honestly what brings the most joy for me from it.
We get to have a fun time. We're all just nerds who happen to play instruments and really love video games and video game music. So we get to just get together on Thursday nights, make music together. Like, there's nothing more I could ask for than that. VGE does one concert every semester, and this semester it will be November 17th, which is a Sunday, at 8 p.m. in the Rosen Concert Hall in the Broy Hill Music Center. And we'll be playing music from Fire Emblem Awakening, the new God of War game, God of War 4, Ori and the Blind Forest, and Kirby.
That's all for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed our special look into App State's video game ensemble and everything else we were able to cover this episode.
I have to say, it is pretty cool to see a talented gaming community outside of esports flexing their muscles. If you like this change of pace, let us know on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PixelPeak_AppTV or on AppTV's YouTube channel after the show.
And we'll still be here on TV too. You can watch our thoughts, news, and game reviews live every Tuesday night at 8 on WatchAppTV.com, Skybest channels 20 and 1020, Spectrum channel 198, or on App State's campus television channel 23.3.
And our show wouldn't be what it is without its crew. Thanks to writers Jalen Curitin, Rebecca Larson, and yours truly, producers Caitlin Halley, Tanner Mazzell, and Michael Annable, and Xbox analyst Bobby Paget for helping make this episode truly great.
Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed your stay here
on Pixel Peak.